Okay, so let's talk about two names you absolutely know, but probably never ever thought you'd hear in the same sentence: Liam Neeson and Pamela Anderson. And look, this isn't just about some rumored romance. Their story, it actually goes way deeper. It all kicks off with one simple question. I mean, really think about it. What on earth could connect the serious, intense, gravitas filled actor from Schindler's List with the quintessential star of Baywatch? Seriously, on the surface, it feels like they're from two totally different universes. So, yeah, the easy answer is a budding romance. But that's just scratching the surface. The real story here, the one we're going to dig into, is so much more fascinating. This is about two massive icons on these surprisingly parallel journeys of transformation, people who have completely reinvented themselves in the public eye. And now, well, they might just be starting their most personal reinvention yet, together. So let's break this down. First up, we gotta talk about Liam Neeson. To really get this whole story, you have to understand his incredible career reinvention.
You know, depending on how old you are, you probably know one of two Liam Neesons. There's the action hero, right? The guy who hunts down bad guys in movies like Taken. But for decades before that, he was one of the most respected dramatic actors on the planet, earning an Oscar nomination for his absolutely soul-stirring performance as Oscar Schindler. Two completely different personas.
In this whole transformation, it didn't just happen overnight. In '93, he's at the top of his game as a dramatic star after Schindler's List. Then he becomes a legendary Jedi Master in Star Wars. But the real earthquake hits in 2008, at 56 years old, an age where most actors are kind of winding down. He stars in Taken. And just like that, a whole new, totally unexpected career is born. With that one line, a cultural phenomenon was unleashed. It wasn't just a hit movie. It created a whole new brand. All of a sudden, Liam Neeson was the older action hero, and it's a genre he's basically owned ever since. A complete, total reinvention, all built on one unforgettable threat. All right, now let's pivot to Pamela Anderson, because her journey isn't just a reinvention, it's a powerful, deliberate reclamation of her own story. For decades, the world thought it knew Pamela Anderson. The red swimsuit, the magazine covers, her image was literally everywhere. But that was never, ever the whole story. In recent years, she's really emerged as a passionate activist, and maybe most importantly, as the author of her own life. She's finally taking control of a narrative that for so long was written for her by other people. Her journey from icon to author is just remarkable. Baywatch makes her a global phenomenon, and she was smart about it, leveraging that fame to produce her own show, VIP. But the real turning point, the true shift, came in 2023. With her memoir and her documentary, she stepped forward to define herself on her terms, moving past all the scrutiny she'd faced for decades. And if you want to understand the sheer scale of her initial fame, just look at this number: more than 14 Playboy covers. That is a staggering figure that really grounds you in what a global force she was. It also shows you just how powerful her recent move to redefine her own image really is. And this was the heart of her reclamation. Her projects in 2023, they weren't just a trip down memory lane. They were a deliberate act of grabbing the microphone for herself. For the first time, she was presenting herself not as some famous image, but as a survivor, an advocate, and the thoughtful author of her own life. Okay, so you've got these two massive stars who have fundamentally changed how the public sees them. So how in the world did their paths finally cross? Well, the setting was pretty perfect, actually. A movie set. The remake of The Naked Gun, of all things. They were cast to play love interests, but the chemistry, it wasn't just for the cameras. Word is they bonded over books and a shared sense of humor. Anderson even hosted dinners and baked for Neeson, creating what she called a professionally romantic vibe that pretty quickly turned into something very, very real. And when you hear them talk about each other, the admiration is just undeniable. Listen to Liam Neeson, a guy who isn't exactly known for gushing, telling People magazine he was madly in love with her. He praised her humor, her lack of ego, You can just hear the genuine affection. And Pamela's praise was just as glowing. She called him the perfect gentleman, saying he brings out the best in you with his kindness and experience. I mean, it's pretty clear this was way more than just professional courtesy. This was real. Their public appearances have only fanned the flames. When they were asked straight up on the Today Show if they were an item, their answers were just perfectly playful. Pamela joked, "I don't understand the question," while Liam gave this wonderful, kind of coy non-denial, saying they had a lovely, budding chemistry and that they should just let it breathe. And then Pamela just put a quiet little exclamation point on all the speculation herself. She posted a simple message on Instagram, just 4 little words that said everything without saying too much. Love is in the air. So when you connect all these dots, this pair that seems so surprising at first suddenly starts to make a whole lot of sense. Just think about it. They've both dealt with insane levels of fame and scrutiny. They both found huge success in totally unexpected ways. And at their core, they both fundamentally get what it takes to reinvent yourself under a microscope. And maybe that's the real takeaway here. For decades, both Liam and Pamela were busy reinventing themselves for us, for the public. And perhaps now they've finally found a connection that lets them reinvent themselves for each other. Which leaves us with one final thought. In a world that's so full of celebrity noise, could this quiet, unexpected bond between two people who've already lived such massive public lives actually be Hollywood's most surprising and maybe even its most inspiring second act of all?